Okay, am I in focus this time? Kind of. I'm in focus when I sit further back, but it's also pretty dark. I think I forgot to set my... Oh, I didn't change my settings. Oh man, and I've already got it all set up here. Hold on. That's better. How's the focus? Focus is back here. So if I'm focused... I got this nice little short HDMI cable. It's... I don't know, 2 feet long, maybe a foot and change for the monitor. And I thought, oh, that'll be perfect. And now I realize I actually probably could use a longer one when I'm specifically in the car so I can sit all the way back here and see when I'm in focus. But anyway, I had this camera set up for just getting nice shots of the landscape, which, as you can imagine, as we're leaving, about 4 hours after we got here, it's much, much brighter than when we got here. And it's very bright out. And it's a lot brighter out there than it is in the car. But great stuff today. Came out and saw here at the state wildlife area that we've been to a few different times. I did change it up a little bit because apparently I try to do that every time I go out, where instead of the last time we came out, I did the same kind of setup with the video. I like that. It was a bit cumbersome. I'm not using that gigantic, what is the name of it? There's a name for it. It's the barn doors on the front of the... It's a lens hood, but they use a specific one. There's a specific term for it where it's the big square one on the end of a video lens. And there really is no difference between that and the anyway, it basically is that. It can hold an ND filter, but the ND filter that I have, I need to get one that's less ND. It's very dark. It's very hard to see unless it is full sunlight. Anyway, I'm not using that as much. I condensed it down and then I went, okay, I need to carry this a little bit better. And I thought about how the last time I came out, I was carrying this camera and all of its stuff in a backpack, in a smaller backpack that fit all of it. But it kind of only fit it not ready to go. I have to take the microphones off, I have to unplug the cables and things, and then it goes into it. And then it's in the bag, and then it's on my back. And if I want to get a shot of the landscape that's around to show where it is that I'm seeing the wildlife, I have to undo all of that, build it up, get the shot, put it all back. Not really conducive to what we're trying to do, and very difficult to move around, and very heavy. So I thought about it, and I thought about how the last thing that when we go out, the last few times I've been doing it with the really big video camera, which I haven't done since we did the Kestrels, but when I did it, I went, okay, it'll be easier if I just go to the spot and I set up, because I'm basically stationary, and then I have the tripod and I've got all the equipment that goes with that video camera in the backpack, because I've got a nice big extra large backpack. As a matter of fact, that backpack is the one that I bought when I did the first vlog. I did it in two parts. I went out and looked for wildlife, and then I came back and talked about the stuff. Actually, I didn't. I was going to, and then I went, oh, this is terrible. And so I just skipped over most of it because I had it like set up on a table with the backpack. I'm remembering, that was almost 4 years ago. Anyway, I bought another of that exact same kind of backpack because apparently that brand and that is the only one who makes one that big. And it's expensive, but worth it because the next one's down were just too many compromises in in quality that I don't know, and size especially. No one really makes a backpack that is meant to be that large. And then you move up to like hiking backpacks, and they're not really padded for photography equipment. And if I had my own, then you lose even smaller. Anyway, I really like that backpack, so I just bought a second one. Got one used, but basically in like new condition. Very happy with it. And I set it up with the video camera that we are using, which is the Pocket Cinema camera with the, what is it, 100 to 400 with an extender on it. Anyway, it's more mobile. It's definitely not the big setup. It's something that I can kind of pick up and move around without this whole rigmarole of like setting up the really big one. And it gets good quality, and it's good. I'm happy about that. So that's what I'm doing. And that's what I did last time too. But it was just cumbersome, and I realized, wait, why am I carrying like the main wildlife camera in a backpack for the big one, and then this other one I'm trying to like handheld carry it and a tripod and all these other, what am I doing? So I got a second backpack. I shortened down because I took off the part at the front. I know there's a name for that. Softbox? No, that's different. I'll figure it out. Anyway, I got that, and I built it into the backpack and got it ready to go, and then carried another bag with this camera. And so my thought for today, coming out, trying this out, I think it'll do well. It did fine. Happy about that. And my thought was, we can just leave the backpack until we get to a spot, we start seeing wildlife, and we go, okay, now's the time to set it up. And so we walk out and we do that. We get over there, and I got the chest mount to get some like while I'm walking footage. And then we go out and we see wildlife for a while, and then on the way back, it's already packed up, and we just have this one out instead of being packed away in the bag. And whenever we stop and get tired, because our arms are tired of carrying everything every few feet, we stop and get a shot. And we kind of do the landscape on the second half, because unfortunately I can't really do both at the same time. I'd like to, and there are some situations where it's worth it to grab the other camera and have both going so I can get a wide angle shot and the close-up of the wildlife, but that didn't happen today. Today I got all the close-ups with the wildlife, and then on the way back, and I just hope it's okay enough with the edit that it's not that noticeable that there's about a 4-hour difference, 4 to 0 hour difference because of when the wildlife was shot. The sun is going to be brighter, it's going to be different, it's not going to be ideal, but it's the best that we can do because we're kind of a one-man crew here. We're trying to do everything at once, and it doesn't really work that way, but we're doing the best we can. And I'm happy about what I saw. One thing to specifically highlight, we saw a few birds here or there alongside the water. Right when we got there were some white ibises maybe? Or maybe they were just white herons. I couldn't quite tell. They were there for just a brief moment. The great white heron is real. It does exist, but it's mostly in Florida or the Caribbeans. Egret, the great egret. That's what we see more commonly. And I had just enough time to try to get it together. Of course, they were showing up as the other thing I wanted to do, which has zero consequences now because I grabbed an audio recorder that I have, and I set it up and plugged everything in and got it ready and pressed the record button, and I was just going to let it go for the full, 3-4 hours that we were out there. You got to press the record button twice. I know that. The first one just primes it, and it's flashing. Then you press it again, and it actually starts recording. I forgot to press it the second time. Oh good, it didn't record at all. Perfect. Oh well, no secondary audio, but it's okay. There are people out on the lake making noise anyway, so unless we really wanted to hear their conversation since they were having it loud enough that you could hear them from the land. Anyway, besides that, the white ones were cool, but then there was a heron that came swooping in and landed, and I watched it for a little while I had the camera set up, and the heron caught the fish. I've been trying to get, I think I've seen that happen once or twice before. I've definitely witnessed it, but it made me remember that was one of the first things that I stopped entirely. We go all the way back. This is 5-6 years ago at this point. I'm just doing still photography. I don't have a super big lens or anything from what I can remember. And I've gone out to a new place and I'm walking around a park and it's pretty busy and I'm bummed out. I'm like, this isn't going to be great for wildlife. I'm not really going to see much here. It is what it is. And then I find a spot where there's like a little dock, almost like a dock is the wrong word because you're a good 20 feet up above the water, but it's just kind of an outcropping that they built a wooden platform on for you to go look. And I'm standing there and I'm looking and I'm looking, and I've been standing there for probably 10 minutes, and I look down and I go, oh, there's a heron right there. Wow, that's really close. And I start taking pictures of it. And it kind of goes along and I go, oh, it's hunting. It's going to try to catch fish. I'm going to get it catching a fish. I'm ready. And that was like, 45 minutes to an hour. I stood there primed and ready as best I could. It would tire, the camera would get heavy. I'm leaning up against things. I don't think I have a tripod at that point. I mean, I own tripods. I don't remember if it was on a tripod. It could have been, and I just remember that thinking, the thought, which is a terrible habit and a bad thought that I needed to kick myself, and I'm still working on all these years later, but like, oh, now this is what it means to be a real wildlife camera photographer person. Like, what? The real wildlife photographer? That's a really bad habit to get into, to start thinking of what you're doing and diminishing. Like, it's just bad, and it's not a good. It's a negative thing, not good to do. But anyway, it made me remember that the heron and catching a fish is something that I've always wanted to see. Now, if we can just manage to capture this wondrous event on camera, with the bird facing to the side, a side profile, or towards the camera, anything besides away from the camera. I actually don't remember how it turned out that day because it was so many years ago. I think it did go for one, and I missed the focus on the shot. It's unfortunate, but I feel like I got it today. It was a little fish, but I definitely watched it get one up and take it down the gullet and swallow a fish. So really happy about that. If nothing else, I saw some other things for sure. I don't know how much of it's going to come out. We'll see during the edit, but at the very least for that, I'm pretty happy about it. That was pretty cool. The heron caught the fish. I believe this is a new one for the collection of identified birds. I think this is a gray catbird, because it doesn't really match too many other things, and there's two pretty distinctive features that it has. A blackish cap, which it does, and you'll also notice if you look under the tail in some of the shots, the dark chestnut color. This was a pretty difficult, there was a pair of them, and then Michael was having trouble getting them to stay anywhere that you could see them clearly. They were diving in and out and amongst these branches of the trees. Okay, one more thing real quick. Have you ever seen a bird with no feathers on its head? I hadn't seen that before, and it's kind of goofy looking. Apparently, this is a thing. When I looked up bird with no feathers on its head, something to that effect, the blue jay was the example that they were using, and the blue jay is what we saw on this day. Apparently, typically in juveniles, but for about a week during its molt, right before winter, loses all the feathers on its head. Neat. All right, until next time, everybody. Bye.